Most drivers think an engine gets weak just because it's old, but in many cars, the real problem is a few cheap neglected parts slowly choking performance. Most drivers think an engine feels weak because it's old, but that's not always true. In many cars, power drops because airflow gets blocked, fuel delivery gets dirty, and a few cheap parts stop doing their job. Fix those early, and the engine can feel alive again without a rebuild. When an engine starts rough idling, hesitating, or burning more fuel, most people panic and imagine expensive repairs. But a lot of the time, the car is simply asking for neglected maintenance. Small restrictions add up slowly, and drivers only notice when the performance finally feels noticeably worse. This video style works because it builds tension first. Your car feels tired, then it reveals one hidden cause after another. So your first few scenes should make the viewer feel like their engine is slowly dying, even though the fix may be simpler and cheaper than they expect. Start with air, because every engine depends on clean breathing. If the air filter is dirty, airflow drops, throttle response gets lazy, and fuel economy suffers. It's one of the cheapest things to inspect, yet many drivers ignore it until the car feels slow and heavy. A clogged air filter doesn't just reduce airflow. It changes how the engine reacts to throttle input. Acceleration feels muted, turbo response can lag, and the whole car feels less eager. That's why a simple filter check can be one of the fastest ways to restore lost sharpness. Next comes the throttle body, one of the most ignored parts in the intake path. Over time, carbon builds up around the butterfly valve, restricting airflow right where the engine meters it most carefully. That buildup can create rough idle, poor response, and even stalling in some cars. Cleaning the throttle body is powerful because the effect can feel immediate. Once the gunk is removed, idle becomes steadier, the pedal feels more direct, and the engine doesn't struggle as much to balance airflow at low speed. It's a small task with a big seat-of-the-pants payoff. But airflow doesn't stop at the throttle body. The MEF sensor is what tells the ECU how much air is entering the engine. When that sensor gets coated in dirt or oil, fuel calculations become inaccurate, and the engine starts guessing instead of responding cleanly. A dirty MEF sensor can cause poor fuel economy, jerky acceleration, uneven idle, and sometimes a check engine light. The sneaky part is that drivers often blame bigger components first, when a careful spray with the correct cleaner can sometimes bring the car back noticeably. The reason this tip gets views is simple. It feels like a hidden mechanic secret. Tiny sensor, 5-minute job, big improvement. That contrast between small effort and big result is exactly what keeps viewers watching. So highlight that transformation visually and verbally. Now move to fuel delivery. If injectors are dirty, the fuel spray pattern becomes uneven. Instead of a fine mist, the engine gets a weaker delivery pattern, and that affects throttle response, smoothness, and fuel use. The car may still run, but it won't feel crisp anymore. For mild buildup, a quality fuel system cleaner can help. For heavier deposits, a pressurized professional cleaning works better. The point for the viewer is simple. Bad fuel delivery makes even a healthy engine feel dull. Restoring injector performance often brings back smooth acceleration. Then explain carbon buildup. Over time, short trips, poor fuel, and modern driving habits leave carbon on intake parts, valves, and combustion areas. That carbon disrupts airflow and combustion efficiency, which is why the engine gradually feels older even when no major part has failed. This part is important because it gives the video a deeper technical feel. You're not just showing random hacks, you're explaining why an engine loses that new car smoothness. Carbon buildup makes the audience feel like there's a hidden enemy inside the engine stealing performance. After that, talk about fuel quality. Premium fuel is not automatically more powerful for every car, but using the wrong quality fuel or low detergent gasoline can worsen deposits over time. Clean top-tier fuel helps keep injectors and combustion chambers cleaner, especially in modern engines. A good angle here is myth-busting. Many drivers either waste money on fuel their engine doesn't need, or they consistently use the cheapest option without caring about detergent quality. Your script should make the viewer feel smarter by learning the difference between octane myths and actual cleanliness. Now bring in oil changes, because viewers trust videos that include essential maintenance. Don't repeat the old 3,000-mile myth as a universal rule. Instead, say the real answer depends on the car, the oil spec, driving style, and manufacturer recommendation. That sounds more expert and believable. Fresh oil keeps internal friction under control, helps cooling, and protects moving parts from wear. Dirty oil does the opposite. It increases resistance, allows more contamination, and slowly makes the engine feel rougher and less willing. Smoothness is one of the first things fresh oil restores. At this point, shift into worn parts. Spark plugs, ignition coils, hoses, and belts may not seem dramatic individually, but together they determine whether an engine feels sharp or sluggish. When these parts age, combustion quality drops and the car stops feeling eager. Worn spark plugs are a perfect example. The car may still start and drive, but power fades, efficiency drops, and misfires can begin under load. Replacing old plugs is one of those simple maintenance jobs that can instantly make an engine feel cleaner and more responsive. You can also mention cracked intake hoses and vacuum leaks. These are quiet problems that confuse the ECU and cause rough idle, lean conditions, hesitation, and inconsistent performance. Many drivers chase sensors and parts when the real issue is simply unmetered air entering the system. Now bring in the PCV valve. It's small, cheap, and easy to forget, which makes it perfect YouTube material. If the PCV valve clogs, crankcase pressure rises, oil contamination worsens, leaks can appear, and the engine slowly loses the clean breathing it needs. Cleaning or replacing the PCV valve doesn't sound exciting, but that's why it works so well in this style of content. The viewer loves discovering that a tiny hidden part can affect idle quality, oil control, emissions, and even overall engine feel more than they expected. This is the midpoint where you remind the viewer that the engine doesn't become weak overnight. It dies slowly, through neglect. Small restrictions, dirty sensors, aging seals, and ignored maintenance each steal a little performance until the whole car feels older than it really is. Now shift to the surprise topic from the reference style, the gas cap. It sounds too simple to matter, which makes it a strong retention moment. But a bad gas cap can disturb tank pressure, trigger EVAP issues, and contribute to rough behavior or warning lights. If the gas cap is cracked, worn, or not sealing properly, fuel vapor escapes, and the system may not hold pressure the way it should. That can lead to check engine lights, reduced efficiency, and annoying drivability issues that seem bigger than they are. This is where you make the viewer feel clever. Big problems don't always come from big parts. Sometimes a cheap cap or dried gasket is enough to cause headaches. That's exactly the kind of overlooked detail that performs well in clickable automotive videos. Then go one level deeper and talk about cleaning the gas cap and filler neck. Dust and grime can stop the cap from sealing properly. The fix is basic, but the lesson is powerful. Neglected details can create real symptoms, especially in sealed modern fuel systems. Explain that even if the cap itself looks fine, buildup around the sealing area can weaken the seal. That turns a simple maintenance issue into a pressure problem. This part of the script helps the audience understand why cleaning matters, not just replacement. Now, mention using the correct gas cap type. Some systems are designed around specific venting behavior, and a generic aftermarket cap may not behave the same way. That small mismatch can create weird symptoms, which is why the correct replacement matters more than people realize. This is a great place to sound authoritative. Stop guessing, check the manual, verify the part number, and use the right cap. That kind of language makes the video feel practical and trustworthy instead of hype-driven, which helps with audience retention. Finally, give the gas cap gasket its own moment. Rubber dries out, hardens, and loses flexibility with age and heat. When that seal stops conforming properly, pressure leaks begin. That's why even lubricating or refreshing the gasket can matter more than most drivers expect. A small amount of silicone-safe grease can help the gasket stay flexible and seal better. It sounds almost too simple, which is exactly why viewers love it. Cheap fix, easy step, surprising result. That formula works again and again in this kind of automotive content. At this stage, remind viewers that none of these fixes are magic on a mechanically damaged engine. But if the car feels old because of neglect, deposits, dirty airflow parts, weak maintenance, and failing seals, these steps can dramatically change how the engine behaves. Now summarize the airflow side. Clean filter, clean throttle body, clean MEF, inspect intake leaks. These four alone can transform the way a car idles and responds. That's the part that makes viewers think, maybe my car doesn't need expensive repair yet. Then summarize fuel and combustion, quality fuel, injector cleaning, carbon control, and fresh spark plugs. These steps restore the precision of how the engine burns fuel. When combustion improves, the car feels smoother, stronger, and more efficient all at the same time. After that, summarize support systems. Timely oil changes, healthy PCV function, and proper sealing in the fuel system. These are not glamorous topics, but they protect engine behavior over time. They're the quiet reasons one car feels tired while another still feels tight. This is where you add the emotional payoff. A car that feels responsive again changes the whole driving experience. It starts easier, idles smoother, accelerates cleaner, and wastes less fuel. The viewer should feel like they're not just fixing parts, they're getting their car back. Close with a strong reality-based promise. These fixes won't turn a destroyed engine into a race car, but they can absolutely restore performance that has been slowly lost through neglect. That makes the message believable, helpful, and shareable. If your engine feels older than it should, don't assume the worst first. Start with the cheap airflow parts, clean the neglected sensors, inspect the simple seals, and fix the small things before they become expensive things. That's how you make an old engine feel new again.